amazing.
Can you picture in your mind any events going on today that have, because of your knowledge, the implication of mob or gang violence or gang connection?
Well, I think the biggest thing we have to look at is not so much underworld involvement, because I think it's changed and evolved. We don't see the Italians controlling it quite the way they used to. You see the influx of the Colombians and the Asian gangs, and that world has now become a little bit muddier. And at the same time, I think the government has done a good job in obviously going against them. I think the more elusive target is the criminal within our own government, because if you look at the pattern of events in our recent time, the BCCI bank scandal, which implicates the mob, the CIA directly in purchasing arms, in funding different arms activities with terrorist groups. Likewise, you look at the Noriega connection, a man on the payroll of the CIA. You also look at the Iran-Contra affair, where the CIA is actually funneling arms for purchase in order to back other rebel insurgents groups. It fits the profile exactly. This continues. We have example after example all the way to Watergate. That literally show that there have been men in our government who have been willing to utilize these tactics. And I think if there's anything, that's the biggest implication that Double Cross makes, is that as important as it is to look backward, it's important to look forward, that we can't ignore that these events are happening, that there's a continued thread of involvement, and I think it's a much more elusive target than we've ever seen before.
The fact that organized crime could do what they did do, based on your dad's testimony, of course, says testimony. Testimony to you.
Right. And
the book itself that you're bringing these things out, I guess, should alert us that there is nothing that you shouldn't consider. Events that shape the world today, even insofar as Iraq. Now, is there anything, and how are your feelings concerning that?
Well, certainly, the CIA has recently demonstrated that they're willing to do just about anything to get rid of, to supposedly get rid of Saddam Hussein. Even looking at the possibility of assassination. So I think that we have to be prepared to look at everything with a very, very strong degree of concern and a careful eye to make sure that we're not just, we just don't go along believing everything that's told to us, because there's reasons why things are happening the way they are.
I get from you that, as a student of history and realizing the historical implications of your book, that the rest of us sitting out there that had to have all this conjecture for a long period of time, hopefully, let's say that I'm one of them. I read this book and I say, okay, now I know. Wow, what does that mean coming up? What can I do? What can the general public? You're not writing this as a ABC. Here's what you can do. Send $2 to or whatever. What can you say to somebody who is reading this book and that might walk up to you in a cocktail party and say, gee, Sam, this is scary and it could happen again? What do you think?
Well, I think what we're really trying to tell the reader is that you need to be an active participant in your government, that you can't be apathetic, that if we are, as a society, are apathetic, we'll be led down the road to who knows where, that and we'll be victims of the people who are leading us, and we'll be victim of their ethics and their morals. And suddenly we find ourselves off on a tangent where none of us feel very good about ourselves. And I think that's the real message, is that we can't lay back and just accept everything the government tells us or anybody else tells us, because everyone has an agenda, and certainly our government has one. And I think if you look at who's leading us, you have to have a critical eye. Here's a man, George Bush, who was director of the CIA, who understands well the operational aspects of the CIA. He was brought in by Gerald Ford. Gerald Ford, a man who sat on the Warren Commission. Gerald Ford was our first non-elected president. He was nominated and selected by Richard Nixon. So we know what Richard Nixon was involved in. So I think we have to really take a good hard look at the kind of people that we are promoting as our leaders, electing as our leaders, and that's what I think the real message is, that don't look backward, look forward, and kind of get in the ring and be an active member rather than kind of sitting back apathetically, feeling like you don't have an impact. It starts with your local government. It starts with an interest, and I think it's renewed my interest to want to be a little bit more involved because if we don't, we'll be victims.
To get back to this very quickly, you and your lovely wife Bettina now live where?
In Florida.
In Florida, and you have a going concern.
Right.
With you've had a tremendous career.
Mm-hmm.
And the name of the book, for those of you, once again, is called Double Cross. It is written by Sam and Chuck Giancana. Sam, who we've been talking to, and Chuck, his dad, who was the brother of Sam Giancana. I think the fascinating part is that it's got the historical significance, and it's got a message in there, and it's one that we all should be very wary of.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, as you did when you were learning this from Chuck, don't be afraid to ask the questions, and then don't be afraid of the answers.
That's right. I think that's the most important thing, is you may hear things that you weren't prepared to hear.
Thank you very much for coming here.
Oh, thank
Good
you.
luck
I
to you.
enjoyed it.
All right.
Appreciate it.
We've been talking to Sam Giancana. The name of the book is Double Cross. And ladies and gentlemen, I'll tell you what, get a chance, do not miss this one before it becomes a movie. And very quickly, there are talks right now, Mike.
That's right. It seems like there's a lot of interest in this unique relationship.
So once again, Double Cross, our guest, Sam Giancana. Remember, you can't fail if you keep on trying, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.